What's up, everyone? It's Henry John back here with Odds Jam. Excited to break down yet another slate of postseason baseball. That is right, the MLB playoffs continue today. We actually have three games on tap thanks to the rain out yesterday. The Houston Astros and Chicago White Sox are going to get the action kicked off. Game four, their ALDS series this afternoon. With that being the early game, though, we are going to focus on the two games that were, shall we say, originally scheduled for this Tuesday, October 12th. Those being the two Game 4 matchups in the National League Division Series. The first of which, of course, is between the Milwaukee Brewers and Atlanta Braves, a series that has been dominated by pitching so far. And as we look here at the money line odds for today's Game 4 in Atlanta, Braves pretty solid favorites at this point across the board. Minus 147, laying is the lowest price available on the Braves to win this game outright. Pre-game money line, that is. Atlanta, of course, looking to close out this series at home after shutting out the Brewers by identical 3-0 scores, oddly enough. In each of the last two games, the Jock Peterson pinch hit 3-run homer, driving in all three of the Braves' runs and all three of the total runs in yesterday's game. For those looking to bet the Brewers, it is interesting to see the plus money. If you do think Milwaukee can get things turned around here today and figure it out offensively and push this thing back to Milwaukee, this game is interesting from a starting pitcher's perspective. Both managers, Brian Snitker with the Braves, Craig Counsell with the Brewers, opting to go different directions here. Milwaukee's going to start with left-hander Eric Lauer. He's the fourth starter in their rotation, so not going back to Corbin Burns here, even though this is a must-win scenario in Game 4. Have to imagine the Brewers would feel a lot more comfortable rolling Lauer out there if this was a 2-1 series in their favor. Unfortunately, it's not. And for the Braves, they are going back to Game 1 starter Charlie Morton for Game 4 today. And just given how Morton pitched so well against the Brewers there, he took the loss in the 2-1 decision, but 6 shutout innings, got into trouble in the seventh, gave up the 2-run homer, and that was really the only offense Milwaukee had in that game. And those are the only 2 runs the Brewers have scored here in this whole series. But Morton pitched very well, 9 strikeouts in that game through the 6 scoreless innings before allowing the home run. And so it'll be interesting to see how he comes back in this one. Based on how the series has been going, right, we have to look at the total here, I think, from a betting perspective as we dive into some picks for Brewers-Braves Game 4. Looking at the odds here on Odds Jam, see the total kind of sitting around 8, 8.5, depending on where you shop. And there's no other way for us to look to play this today than to go under. For as good, as dominant as the Brewers pitching was during the regular season, the Braves have matched them step for step in this series and have even one up them here really in the last 2 games, back-to-back shutouts. Not sure how Ian Anderson got out of that second and third jam with no one out in the top of the 5th yesterday, but he did. So the Braves missing Mike Soroka due to the injury, but they're able to get that Game 3 win. The spot he probably would have otherwise occupied in the rotation. Now they come back with Morton, who has plenty of postseason experience. I like both under 8.5, under 8. There have been 9 total runs scored through the first 3 games of this series so far. We're looking at a total here that is a run or half a run, depending on where you're at. Lower than that is all. I don't know how you pass that up, just given what we've seen so far. And the Brewers have really shown me nothing to suggest that they are going to the bats are really going to wake up here today, given how effective Morton was in Game 1. I think that it's going to be another slog kind of for Craig Counsell's crew trying to generate some offense. So let's talk a little more about Charlie Morton here in this one. When it comes to some player props, total strikeouts for Morton, we can bring those odds up here with Odds Jam, sitting at 5.5. Again, this is a guy who struck out 9 over 6 innings, allowed only 3 hits and 2 runs. Of course, those were in the 7th inning after he got through 6 shutout innings. But the Brewers have not been making contact at all, and it worries me going into this game. Now, will Morton get through a full 6 innings here? I don't know. Again, Atlanta's opting to go back to him after he started game one. The Brewers, they're going to hope that he can force a game five here somehow. I don't know what Burns' status might be coming out of the pen in relief in this game. If it gets to that point, what Counsell would do there. But they want to have him available for a win, do or die game five, but they got to force it first. So again, interesting there. I like what Morton did in game one. I would look to play over on this strikeouts prop, especially seeing that it's juiced the other way. That's really interesting. I think you can consider Morton maybe having a short leash here, what the pitch count, what limitations the Braves will be setting on him. But after that game one performance, hard to look any other way there when he struck out half. Strikeouts accounted for half of the outs he recorded in game one. So we'll look to go over 5.5 there. Decent return, just coming up short of plus money odds. The other player to look at here in this game, at least that I have my eye on, is actually one of the Brewers hitters. So I've been talking already plenty about how Milwaukee's offense has been struggling in this series. But what about Christian Yelich? I don't know. Can we get an over on a total basis, perhaps? You know, he went hitless in game one, so he didn't do anything against Morton there. He has a hit in games 2 and 3 of this series, which, you know, based on how the Brewers have been hitting as a team, that's kind of saying something, actually. But he's struck out 5 times already in the series, so it's been a rough go for the former MVP. But we're looking at his total bases here for game 4 on Tuesday. Over a half, obviously you're laying $1.77, close to $1.80 there. But over 1.5 plus 140 return. It looks like it's DraftKings there as we look at the odds jam odds here. So not bad there. And looking at Yelich's history against Charlie Morton, pretty promising that he might be able to go over on this. 333 batting average against him in 18 at bats, 6 hits. So he's getting a hit a third of the time. They were all singles, 4 strikeouts. So you can take it for what it's worth. But I think that he has the reputation there in his past where he's been able to hit Charlie Morton. This is a big spot for the Brewers, obviously, and it would only be fitting if arguably their best player finally leads the charge back here for this offense when they need it most. So I'm looking at Christian Yelich to come out and go over a half or over 1.5 total bases, whichever you prefer there. The second NLDS game on Tuesday, of course, is between the San Francisco Giants and Los Angeles Dodgers. Speaking of pitching duels, that is exactly what we had in this series last night in Game 3. For those of you who stayed up and were able to catch that one, a wild game, 8 total hits. The Dodgers had 5, the Giants had 3, and yet it's the Giants who emerged victorious 1-0. Solo homer by Evan Longoria proved to be the difference. Max Scherzer went 7 innings. He looked sharp. He flew over our strikeouts prop from yesterday's video, if you saw that. So I guess that's what happens when you try to bet against one of the best pitchers in the game, right? But at any rate, Alex Wood and 3 Giants relievers combined on the shutout. And that's the second time the Dodgers have been shut out in this series now. And, I'd love to know what the odds would have been on that before this. The Dodgers would not get shut out once, but twice in the same postseason series when you consider these stars that adorn the LA lineup. So pretty crazy stuff there. We check out the odds jam money line odds for tonight's game 4 between these NL West rivals. And the Dodgers are again favorites. However, we don't have to lay $2 this time. So, if you really like Los Angeles to force a game 5, there is at least a little less liability that you're throwing down there right out of the gates just on an outright victory. And the thing, again, going back to yesterday's line, I know it was Max Scherzer, but the disrespect for a Giants team that won 107 games, best record in baseball this year, it continues to amaze, even though we are in the postseason, nearly 2-1 in some spots on San Francisco to win yesterday's game outright. Going back, though, to today's Game 4 matchup, it'll be Anthony DeSclafani, the right-hander, going for Gabe Kapler and the Giants. Solid season for him, the former Cincinnati Red. He faced the Dodgers actually 6 different times during the regular season, okay? So there's going to be plenty of familiarity there, you would think, when the Dodgers are going up to hit against him. We'll see if it transpires into a better offensive showing than they've got for the most part here in this postseason. Even thinking back to LA, only scoring 3 runs there in the NL wildcard game. Speaking of wild cards, the wild card for Game 4 tonight in this NLDS, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts has yet to name a starting pitcher. And I actually delayed recording this video, kind of waiting him out a little bit. And are you gonna tell us? Come on, Dave Roberts, but nothing. So we are still in wait and see mode. I would imagine it's going to be Walker Buehler or someone who has not started yet in this series. We'll see if he opts to go the Braves route and bring back the Game 1 starter, or if he's going to go to a different pitcher altogether. It wouldn't surprise me, though, here to see Buehler again, especially knowing the Dodgers trailed the series 2-1 after last night. And it is, you have to throw things at the wall and hope they stick here really tonight if you are Dave Roberts and the Dodgers in a must-win scenario. So that does impact handicapping and, what I can throw at you here as far as betting picks in this video. So that leads me to talking some player props on this game. And, we kind of have to focus on Dodgers hitters, if you will, just because we don't exactly know who the Giants will be facing in terms of starter for the Dodgers tonight. And do you know who's had some success against Anthony DeSclafani in the past? Will Smith. That's right, the Dodgers catcher. He was in the video yesterday. We had him as a plus 350, plus 370, solid return there to hit a home run. He didn't hit a home run. He did have he was one of 4 Dodgers to record a hit, though, last night. And so looking at his past stats against DeSclafani, okay, Will Smith, 12 at-bats against him, 14 plate appearances. He drew a couple of walks in there, but a 500 batting average in the 12 at-bats, 6 hits, and 2 of them were home runs. Also a triple in there of all things. So I don't know when the last time was I saw a catcher leg out a triple, but Will Smith has done it in the past against DeSclafani. Here we're looking at Will Smith over 1.5 total bases. Again, he's swinging the hot bat. He has the historical stats to go along with it against the Giants starter tonight. Plus 130 return, over 1.5 total bases for Will Smith. I think that makes a lot of sense as a play tonight. And, I mentioned that we had him in yesterday's video talking about potentially going yard for the Dodgers in that one. Well, why not bring that back, right? We like a nice return on a home run, a long ball every now and then. Must win for the Dodgers. Will Smith has been Mr. Clutch for them, it seems like, all year long. And again, another nice return here available on that. Plus 370. Looks like FanDuel, as we look at Odds Jam here, comparing the odds. You got plus 314 and a couple others, but plus 370 if you can get in on that at FanDuel. Again, 12 prior at-bats against DeSclafani, 6 hits, 500 batting average, and 2 of those hits were homers. So the power has been there off of him as well. So we'll ride with the hot hand there with Will Smith in tonight's NLDS Game 4 as well. Now, I am a little bit bummed because Dave Roberts let me down, and he did not name Dodger starter in time for putting together this video. So I do have one other pick I want to throw at you. We're jumping outside of baseball here because it's also opening night in the National Hockey League. That is right. The defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning kick things off against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then the late game on ESPN, because NHL's moving to ESPN this year, in a new broadcast deal for them, features the newest 2 franchises in hockey, the Seattle Kraken and the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, so we're looking at this here, and as you can see from the odds jam, money line odds on tonight's season opener for both sides. Golden Knights are a massive favorite to win this game outright. Of course, this will be the first game in Seattle Kraken franchise history. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Golden Knights, their first year as an expansion team a few seasons ago, they went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, a miraculous run for a brand new expansion franchise, their first season of existence, and they've been successful, a winning team making the playoffs every year since. I'm not so sure that's going to happen for the Kraken, though. It's a different story this time around. Seattle in the expansion draft put together a solid defense. They did go out and get Philip Grubauer to be their main goaltender as well, but I don't know where the offense is coming from this team in year one, and I also do know for a fact, this being the second expansion franchise to join the league here in the past few seasons. The other teams were a heck of a lot more prepared for the Kraken coming in than they were the Golden Knights a few years ago. So it just doesn't make sense why the futures betting line on the Kraken points total is as high as 91.5 at some spots I've seen. A lot of 89s, 90s. It's just not happening this year. And back over the summer when the points totals were first posted by a number of books out in Las Vegas, you're talking about mid to upper 60s was the opening line for the Kraken, and it's just been bet up since by a lot of people who are really excited to see this team come into the league. Think it could be Vegas Golden Knights 2.0 here, as far as them getting off to a great start for the franchise. And it's not going to be. They'll be lucky to be above 500 this year, and they're playing in a competitive Pacific Division. Golden Knights being in that division actually. And it's just going to be an uphill battle for this team, their first year in the league. So look to play under on Kraken total points. That's the futures bet on total points, standings points for the Seattle Kraken in this season. And I know futures betting, you got to tie up the money there for a little while, but you'll be riding action whether you're betting games or not each night. The Kraken are playing, so you have something to look for there. It's just inflated at this point. I know everyone's excited, expectations are high, but bet it under. I love that bet a lot. I put down quite a bit myself, so I am riding with those of you who choose to follow that Kraken futures point total under for their first season in the NHL. And that is all I have for you today. So best of luck with everything. Hopefully we drop some winners in here for both the baseball and the hockey. We'll find out in a few months whether the Kraken or that bet is looking good in terms of the future play. But just wanted to throw you a little extra something there, especially knowing Dave Roberts didn't cooperate and we don't have a starting pitcher. So kind of was only able to handicap half of Giants Dodgers for you tonight, but some good stuff all around. Should be an exciting NLDS doubleheader again this evening. And who knows if the White Sox are able to win here this earlier in the afternoon. We will be back hopefully to talk about Game 5 in that ALDS series. Winner go home for both teams between Houston and Chicago. That'll be on tap tomorrow in terms of baseball betting. So best of luck this evening. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the hockey opening night. And again, check out Odds Jam. Compare those odds side by side. You want to get the best value you can, best number possible on all of your sports betting picks. So again, I'm Henry John, and I will see you next time.